Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spotcommentary with another installment of the Shared Trait Spotlight. And today, rather than focusing on one shared trait, we will actually be looking at a handful of shared traits. And actually, only one of those is from a recent set. So, the traits in particular we'll be looking at are the three shared traits to date that have been created by WizKids for use for the Sinister Six, hence the Sinister Six. Also, we will be building a Sinister Six team, which admittedly, yes, you can already see with the team, but yeah, there's going to be more about it later in the video. So, okay. So, starting in, as I remember correctly, the first time they did a Sinister Six specific trait was in Superior Foes of Spider-Man, and that trait was called Superior to the Other Guys. And in fact, Beetle here, the Janice Lincoln version, is one of the characters with that trait. Once per turn for all characters with this trait, if a character uses a Sinister Syndicate team ability to replace their attack value with Beetle's, after action resolve, give hit characters an action token. Now, each character who has the Superior to the Other Guy's trait enables a different something different. But now, it used to be that when Superior Foes came out, the Sinister Syndicate and Batman Enemy team abilities were worded in such a manner that you could create a daisy chain effect with characters with that team ability, with either the Sinister Syndicate or Batman Enemy team ability. The basic idea being maybe like you've got, say, one guy way far away from everyone, or opposing figures with an 11 attack, or hell, maybe you have printed 12, and then you've got a bunch of others with the Sinister Syndicate team ability, and so then you, with the Superior to the Other Guys trait, each one of, let's say that let's say you've got 5, you've got Beetle and 4 other characters with the Superior to the Other Guys trait, including your guy with the 12, then you've got Electro at the end. So Electro is using that 12, which has been copied from everyone else, and so he is technically copying all the attack values of all the other characters between the character with the 12 and himself. So then he would get to use all of the Superior to the Other Guys bits to basically, really clean up. However, shortly afterwards, or a little while afterwards, I should say, not shortly, but and it may have been because of things like Superior to the Other Guys. There was also a Batman Enemy equivalent, and it was also a simpler time traits that showed up in Joker's Wild for the JSA, but I think it was mostly because of the simpler time traits, because there were a lot of JSA members that were fairly meta back then, but the wording for the Sinister Syndicate, Batman Enemy, Defenders, and JSA team abilities was changed so that you can now copy the printed attack values or printed defense values. So you could no longer have that massive daisy chain, which I actually made work pretty well with the Justice Society. But yeah, so Superior Letter guys kind of took a bit of a nerf. I mean, they still work. The traits still work. It's just they don't work as well as they did. So yeah. Anyway, the next one to come along was in Earth X, which was 2/3 Earth X, 1/3 Spider-Man. And that trait was called Sinister Six United. Now, Sinister Six United, whereas Superior to the Other Guys inspired the Batman enemy equivalent, Sinister Six United was actually inspired by a DC shared trait. Which is called Only Six of Us, and is for the Secret Six. But both traits are worded as such. Stealth, but only if your force has 3 or more characters. Improved movement ignores hindering terrain, but only if your force has 5 or more characters. Modify all combat values +1, but only if your force has exactly 6 characters. Now, honestly, I like that a bit more. It's very streamlined. You're not having to worry about who gives everyone what. Also, it doesn't rely on adjacency. Now, that said, the Sinister Syndicate team ability does. So, yeah. But anyway, there were actually we had a decent number of figures in the set that had the Sinister Six United trait. I think both Green Goblin and Venom did. Dr. Octopus, Vulture, Sandman, they did. Electro, various others. But one of the best ones to utilize on a team is, well, Beetle. This is the Admiral Jenkins version of the Beetle. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that is his second Beetle armor. So, now what makes Beetle so great is he actually has a whopping 3 traits. He's got a signature equipment trait for the Beetle Pod, which we've seen on numerous occasions on board the team in the last few years. But that gives him flight, toughness, and modifies the speed value by 2. Then he's got the Sinister Six United trait, which admittedly the improved movement part with the Beetle Pod, the improved movement part isn't really necessary, unless maybe he was up against God Emperor Doom and he's like, hey, I'm going to turn off your equipment. God Emperor Doom can do that. But the trait that really causes Beetle to shine is his third one, Organizer of the Sinister Syndicate. Leadership. Traded leadership is always nice because you're not having to worry about, oh crap, my leader got knocked off of leadership. I no longer have all the benefits. When it's traded, oh, you've always got it. When a friendly character within 6 squares replaces its attack value using the Sinister Syndicate team ability, modifies attack +1. Now, one thing to keep in mind when it comes to replacing and modifying. First, you replace a combat value, then you modify. So let's say that, let's say you've got Beetle, and Beetle here is adjacent to, they're both adjacent, but so Beetle replaces her 10 attack with Beetle's 11 attack. Well, as she is a friendly character within 6 squares, replacing its attack using the Sinister Syndicate team ability, she gets an additional +1, making it a 12. And then you can go ahead and use Beetle's Perplex and maybe up her damage or knock that attack up to a 13 even. Either way, you've got options. But, so yeah. That, and with the Sinister Six United trait, it's one of those things where everyone who's got it brings something different to the table, but not because of the trait. It's because, but rather because of their dials. And we're actually going to be looking quite a bit at that with the team. Then, however, now the newest Sinister Six trait, which was featured in Spider-Man Venom Absolute Carnage, is yet another. Yet another Sinister Six. Now, well, Hobgoblin here has it, and it's very similar, but more. I would say more, honestly, more usable than superior to the other guys. So for Hobgoblin, yet another Sinister Six reads: adjacent friendly characters with the Sinister Six keyword can use Blaze Claw's Fangs. Okay, alright. Now, there's a handful of other characters that have the same trait. For example, we've got Hammerhead, one of Spidey's white-collar foes. And he grants improved movement and goes towards blocking terrain. Bombshell modifies range by 2. Green Goblin, adjacent friendly characters with the keyword modify attack by 1, by 2 if attacking the targeting character with the Spider-Man family team or keyword. Mysterio grants shape change, spot. When an adjacent friendly character with the Sinister Syndicate keyword is given a move action, not when they move, but when they're given a move action. Hammerhead's effects are just movement, so charge, running shot, those are still hypersonic, those still count. But with spot, it's basically leap, climb, facing teleport, or just 1, 2, 3. But the character can replace their speed value with 10. So if maybe they've got, excuse me. So maybe they open up with an 8. In fact, maybe they've got sidestep and they open up with an 8. So they would have to. They move. They decide, okay, replacing Now, first you'd have to, give them the move action. But you could then basically move them up to 12 squares, all in one turn. And finally, and then you got White Rabbit, who gives out lead climb. Now, yeah, it does rely on adjacency, but it doesn't rely on use of the team ability, which really isn't much of a problem because I think everyone I just named off has the team ability. But yeah, they all do. But they don't have to, if they're not having to work, they're not having to. Basically, like I said, this is one of those things where it doesn't. It's less abusable, I guess, because there's no gray area to really say, hey, you could maybe do a daisy chain with it. No. And yeah, hey, those abilities are good. I mean, Hobgoblin giving out Blaze Claws, that's pretty useful. So, let's look at our Sinister Six team. Now, this particular lineup has a nostalgia factor for me. When I was a kid in the early 90s and just getting into comics, the grocery store that my mom did grocery shopping at, often at this point in time, and I presume this was actually a case with a lot of other grocery stores too, but they had occasionally, like I said, quite often, packages of slightly older comic books. And one that I picked up had all 6 parts of Eric Larson's Spider-Man story. This was from the Adjective-Free Spider-Man book, which was started up by Todd McFarlane. But Larson, if I remember correctly, took over from McFarlane. But anyway. But it was all 6 issues of Eric Larson's Revenge of the Sinister Six storyline. So this lineup is the 6 members. Well, okay, 5 of the 6 plus Sandman. At the time, Sandman was a good guy, so but he got kidnapped, and yeah, he was involved. But the basic thing is we don't yet have a GOG Colossal, so this was have to make do. So Eric Larson's Sinister Six. It's a 400-point build. So yeah, it's not modern, but I think it's still good, as it is using a couple figures from Superior Foes. But anyway, so first off, we start off with Sandman. Sandman comes in at 50 points. He has the Spider-Man Ally Team ability, which makes him Wild Card, as well as the Avengers, Sinister Syndicate, and Wild Pack keywords. He has the Sinister Six United trait, so if you have at least three or more characters on your team, he's got Stealth. 5 or more, improved movement, and ignores hindering. Exactly 6, he gets to modify his combat values by +1. Now he has another trait as well, Shifting Sands. It's a free action. If Sandman has no action tokens, choose a standard power printed on this card that he can't use already. He can use that power until your next turn. Alright, okay. So taking a look at his dial. On speed, we've got Sidestep, Charge, Plasticity, Flurry, and Leap Climb. On defense, we start off with Indomitable. Then we've got Super Senses, Invulnerability, Toughness, Combat Reflexes, and Regeneration. Now, we cut with that Shifting Sands trait, you could use Regeneration. You could potentially get... That actually allows you to potentially get up to top dial with Regeneration. The Invulnerability... yeah, whatever you need, you got it. And on damage, he has a single solitary click of Shape Change. So, yeah. So, not too shabby. Next up, also from Earth X, is the Vulture. Now, originally, I was using the Vulture from Superior Foes, but I thought that, in all honesty, the Sinister Six United trait would be more beneficial than what that Vulture's got going on. So, Vulture also comes in at 50 points. Huh, that's weird. He has the Sinister Syndicate and Scientist keywords. He has the Sinister Six United trait. He also has another trait, King of the Sky. When Vulture is attacked by a character with the boot speed symbol, he can use Inner Shield Deflection. Okay? Alright. So, looking at his dial, we open up with a click of Charge, then we get a couple clicks of Sidestep, followed by a couple clicks of Stealth. We get some early to mid dial Blades, Claws, Fangs. On defense, we've got a click of Super Senses, then some Combat Reflexes, followed by a couple clicks of Willpower. And on damage, we have some late dial Outwit. Okay. That's not too shabby. Next up, we've got Mysterio. Mysterio is from the Superior Foes of Spider-Man set. Comes in at 60 points, has the Sinister Syndicate team ability, as well as the Sinister Syndicate and Celebrity keywords. He also has a Clicks Effects base, the Smoke Marker. And we'll get into that here with his trait momentarily. So speaking of Mysterio's trait, Illusions and Nightmares. Mysterio starts the game with this mist marker, not smoke. Okay, not smoke. Mist marker attached. And while it is attached, all lines of fire to Mysterio are hindered. Give Mysterio a power action and choose an opposing character within range and line of fire and attach the mist marker to them, removing it from anywhere else. When another character with the mist marker attached makes an attack, the targets can use Shape Change. If a target can already use Shape Change, that target can use Super Senses. When the character with the mist marker attached to it is KO'd, attach the mist marker back to Mysterio. Okay. Now looking at his dial, we open up with a click of Stealth, then we get a couple clicks of Mind Control, back to Stealth, and then we finish up with Mind Control. Defense, we have an early and late and end dial click of Incapacitate. On defense, or that's on attack, I mean, not defense. Defensively speaking, you open up with a click of Super Senses, then Barrier, then we go back and forth between Super Senses and Barrier. And we got on damage some top dial clicks of Probability Control, and a late dial click of Probability Control. So, not too shabby. Next up, we've got Electro. Electro comes in at 70 points. He has the Sinister Syndicate team ability as well as the Sinister Syndicate keyword. No traits. Looking at his dial, it's rather simple. We get 2 clicks of Running Shot, then a few clicks of Sidestep. Full run of the special power Light You All Up. When Electro makes a range attack, he can use Precision Strike. If he targets at least 2 characters, he can use Energy Explosion. 3, the damage all is penetrating damage. Okay, alright. Then on defense, he's got a full run of Energy Shield Deflection. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Next up, we've got Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock comes in at 75 points. He's got the Sinister Syndicate team ability, as well as improved movement, ignores elevated terrain, as well as Sinister Syndicate and Scientist keywords. He also ignores characters for movement. I forgot about that. We got 2 traits, Sinister Six United, of course, and Arms of the Octopus. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose one. Energy Shield Deflection, Flurry, Passenger 2, free, move up to 4 squares. Dr. Octopus can use the chosen power or ability until your next turn. Okay. Looking at his dial, we got a full run of Sidestep. We get some late dial Precision Strike. Defense, we open up with a couple clicks of Mastermind, followed by a couple clicks of Combat or a few clicks of Combat Reflexes. Then on damage, we open without Wit, followed by a couple mid-dial clicks of Leadership. Now that's kind of a surprise, having Leadership in the middle of the dial, as usually characters with Leadership have it at top dial. But it's a nice surprise. Will definitely be beneficial to the team when if he gets knocked onto it. Finally, we've got Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin also comes in at 75 points. He has the Sinister Syndicate team ability, as well as the Sinister Syndicate monster and mystical keywords. We have 3 traits. First off, Pumpkin Bombs, which allows him to start the game with the Pumpkin Bombs equipped. Now, the Pumpkin Bombs grant him Energy Explosion with a minimum range of 4, and knockback, but only during range attacks. And then the equipped character can be given range destroy actions regardless of the damage value. Generally speaking, for a range destroy action, you need to be able to do 3 damage. So yeah, with the Pumpkin Bombs, though, it doesn't. If you got 1, hell, if you got 0, and you have the Pumpkin Bombs, you're good. Next up, we have yet another Sinister Six, and like we mentioned earlier, he gives adjacent friendly characters with the Sinister Syndicate keyword, Blaze Claw's Fangs. Then we have I Can Smell Your Sins. Once per turn, when an opposing character hits, you may give that opposing character a Sin token. Characters with Sin tokens can't use Shape Change, and Hobgoblin has free make an attack, but only target characters with Sin tokens. When a character with a Sin token clears action tokens, you may remove 1 of their Sin tokens. Okay. He also has a secret identity mechanic, but we're not going to bother with that, so we'll just look at the regular dial. We open with a couple clicks of Running Shot, then a couple clicks of Sidestep, followed by a couple clicks of Charge. On attack, we open up with nothing, but then click into Precision Strike, followed by Blaze Claw's Fangs. On defense, we open up with a nice block of Toughness, followed by a couple clicks of Combat Reflexes. On damage, we open with a couple clicks of Perplex, followed by a couple clicks of Ranged Combat Expert, followed by a couple of clicks of Battle Fury. Okay, alright. And by and large, the dial is based upon the period when Hobgoblin, the Jason Massendale version, had made a deal with a demon for additional power, and so he was demonically possessed and empowered. Now, we are including 2 additional pieces of equipment on the team. First off, for Mysterio, we have the Illusion Generator. This comes with the Absolute Carnage version of Mysterio. And he equips it, he enters the game with it equipped. But the effect is it grants shape change. When the character uses it and uses shape change and succeeds, after resolutions, generate an illusion bystander. Illusion bystanders are autonomous, have incapacitate as well as shape change. And then, with the intention of giving them to Dr. Octopus, we've got the Octopus Arms. Granting Giant Reach 2, Flurry, as well as improved movement, ignores elevated terrain and hindering terrain. So, putting them on Doc Ock actually frees up some of his Arms of the Octopus trade options, as he's got Flurry. Basically you don't have to choose Flurry for Arms of the Octopus. But so you could pick Passenger 2, or Inertial Deflection, or free move up to 4 squares, and not worry about, the Flurry. But yeah, that is our Sinister Six team. And at some point, I do intend to use this in a 400-point game. I wanted to do this video first to show it off before actually, putting it into a building the team video, which is part of why it didn't show up in last week. Which is why, even though last week was a 400-point build, it didn't show up. But anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next week. I think we'll be covering symbiote symbiote traits next week on for this. So that'll cover the various alien symbiote traits as well. Or, well, actually, no, we may. We'll see. It's either going to be. We've got a few shared traits from Absolute Carnage to cover. So, anyway, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. Also, you can leave a comment telling me what you thought of the video, or even of this particular build. Yeah, this is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, though, saying live long and rock hard.